It's all right. Share screen. That. What? Yeah. All right, here we go. Capturing leads with open houses. Let's dig in here. So obviously telemarketing, please follow the telemarketing laws. Understand what TCPA is, understand how to stay compliant with that. It's going to be important. Whether you're doing significant amounts of outbound prospecting or simply reaching out, keep fair housing in mind, buyer, things like something that doesn't come up too often even though it's super important, is the buyer letters. We used to call them Dear John or love letters to potential seller when you're submitting offers. Just don't do those anymore. They don't like them. Okay. All right. So today we're going to be talking about capturing leads with open houses. So we're going to go through a few things. We're going to talk about how to actually capture leads using open houses. We're going to talk through some best practices. We're going to explore a model called the Prepare, Prospect, Pursue model. We're going to go through a recap, then we're going to touch base on our daily success system. Everybody remembers that piece of Ignite, right? With the 10 contacts and everything that we need to do in here. All right. So Gary Keller says nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads that you have. Again, this is all part of the lead generation segment of Ignite, which as you look at your business, the single most important piece of your business is going to be lead generation. If you're not doing that consistently on a daily basis, I don't care if you go to 7 closings today, you did not work. Okay, so lead generation is a big deal. There we go. All right, so let's dispel some limiting beliefs, right? This is a common one. I don't have a listing to hold open, right? Oh gosh, I'm just getting started. I don't have any listings. It's okay. I don't have any yard signs. Guess what? That's okay too, right? I may not know the answers to questions that visitors have. That's going to happen, right? If you consider this fact that there is so much information available to the general public right now, a lot of times they will come in knowing more about the neighborhood, about other stuff than we would. Knowledge is no longer our currency. Okay. Open houses don't really work because most people look online. Again, my first year and a half of real estate was nearly entirely based on doing open houses. They absolutely do work. It is, in fact, I would argue they work better today than they did when I got started because of the advent of the required buyer agency agreement. Is it possible to consider the fact that buyers are going out and touring homes on their own because they don't want to sign that agency agreement yet? Right? So they're just, especially those folks who are just kind of dipping their toe in the water. They're going out getting a feel for quote unquote what's out there, right? And I won't feel safe. Anybody think, do these apply to anybody as you're considering this possibility of doing open houses? Anybody had this before, had these thoughts?
I consider first.
I don't have listings, right? Yeah, yeah.
That's definitely.
You're not alone, man. A lot of people getting started. That's their instant thought. Right? Let me make sure I'm staying on the target here. Okay. So let's dig into this. Let's talk about capturing leads with open houses. Okay. So open houses, who's actually going to benefit from the open house? First and foremost, let me dispel something really quickly. Open houses are rarely the place where the home you're holding open gets very, very rare. Okay. It does benefit the seller. How to spit something? How does it benefit the seller? Anybody got ideas? What do we got? Exposure. Yeah, absolutely. That's the biggest one. They're getting eyeballs, right? It's going to benefit buyers. How do we benefit buyers with an open house? Somebody help me out. They start seeing what's available. What else? They get the opportunity to meet highly trained, highly skilled real estate agents such as yourself. Yeah. They get to interview. Potentially, they're doing some little interviews of potential agents to work with, right? Just by having conversations. About the neighbors. How do the neighbors benefit? Nosy neighbors. We love nosy neighbors. Listen, I can't remember the exact statistic, but there's a stat out there that whenever a home goes under contract, it's like a 2-mile radius, there's up to 7 people considering the sale of their home. So, again, let's go back to you, the agent now. How does, with that in mind, how does an open house benefit you as an agent?
Buyers, but you could also start some circle possibly too.
Yep, it's a reason to reach out, right? It's a lead generation effort. Yep, what else?
Those people, this person actually does.
They're working. Yeah. Anybody got any idea what the general public has their basic opinion of real estate agents is? It's not good. I'll tell you that much. It's not good.
Closed houses, just show houses and collect big fat checks.
Yep. We unlock a door and then we show up at closing. That's essentially our job description, right? According to the general public. Anybody experience something different than that in their day-to-day real estate? It's a little different than that, right? So you, the agent, this is literally on the job interview. You show up, you show out when you do these open houses, and it's unbelievable what you can generate with just good conversations. Think of it this way. Used to be way back when you had this thing called agent on duty or desk duty or something like that, right? Agent sits in the office at a phone. They take these inbound phone calls. They get people walking in off the street. You were getting leads that way, right? Anybody want to guess how often that happens anymore today? 0. You nailed it. Yeah. Whole lot of nada, right? So this is your storefront, right? Anybody ever owned a retail business or been involved in retail business, storefront type of business, right? You're there, you show up, you open the doors, people come in, they buy stuff, you make money. Yay. It's a good day, yeah? Open houses are your storefront. Treat them as such, okay? All right, now, here's some other benefits of open houses. Number one, they're pretty darn inexpensive, right? So, obviously, we want to lead with revenue when it comes to any of this stuff. So this is a really inexpensive, this is like that broke ninja way of generating leads, right? They're a great prospecting tool. What I'd have you consider is the actual hosting of the open house itself is not your single best lead generation opportunity. We gotta do some stuff that leads up to the open house. Would everybody agree? Like, or at least you should, yeah? One of those things might be, Kelly mentioned it, a process called circle prospecting. You pull a list of numbers from the neighborhood. You hit the phones, hey, I'm hosting an open house. Personally, would love to invite you over. Maybe even host do an hour before that's special invite to the neighbors. That kind of thing, right? You potentially might run some sort of social paid ad. You're not running the broke ninja play, right? Maybe you got a couple of bucks to spend on a paid ad for a couple of days. You might go door knock. One of the things I always try to do is if I'm hosting an open house here, I'm going to door knock 5 houses to each side and 10 across the street. Right? Have little flyers ready, introduce yourself, personally invite people to the open house. Okay? So with it being so inexpensive, it's a pretty high return on your investment. We're really talking, ultimately, we're talking some time. You might buy a few balloons. Right? So it's got a great ROI. And typically, folks wandering into an open house, they're qualified leads, or at least you have the chance to generate qualified leads because you're right there face to face having a conversation, right? It's not somebody clicking on your website that you're going to spend 2 hours a day for the next 12 weeks trying to get them on the phone. Right there having a conversation with them, which means you walk away with truly qualified leads. Everybody tracking on this? Say yes. All right. Who's been in one of my classes? We know that I'm gonna make sure that you're talking every now and then, right? Everybody's aware of that? All right, cool. Okay, so we've only touched on a few things. What are we thinking right out of the gate when it comes to open houses? What are some things that hadn't considered? Starting to consider a little more. What do we got?
Circle prospect.
Circle prospecting. Yeah. Yep. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a reason to call, right? You're not truly like cold calling. Who hates the idea of quote unquote cold calling? Okay. Who would love to call? Kelly, put your hand down. Kelly's working on me and learning how to do some prospecting. So
I'm doing it. But
she's not around, she's not allowed to raise her hand for that. Okay, so is it possible that making those calls is a little more comfortable when you have like a specific reason behind it? Yeah. Right? It's a little easier. So yeah, circle prospecting is a big one, man.
So it's like recommend calling or still, I think I would probably just rather still.
My answer is yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I like calling because it's more efficient. In the time it takes you to knock on 20 doors, I can make 100 phone calls.
I just want to add, and I just thought about this, it's getting a buddy. Like, I've
Yeah.
done it before by myself, and it's
Yep.
very, 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 very hard to push yourself to go
Yeah.
do something like that by yourself.
Yeah.
And nobody knows where you are, you're knocking on the door of a random stranger.
Yeah.
But buddy up with somebody that's gonna have an open house next week, and you all go door knock to where she's having her open house in next week.
Yep.
And you all go to that area, and then you go to my area.
Yep.
And we lost your name.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Let's keep rolling. All right, best practices. It's a great segue because we're going to lead into some of this best practice stuff. All right. Okay, so everybody remembers the 6 personal perspectives. We talked about that once or twice during the event. Yes. Okay, so let's walk through this. So before you your open house, you got to set some concrete achievable goals. Okay. For example, maybe tell yourself your goal is to add 6 people to your database every time you do an open house. The goal is to meet 1 new buyer every time that was my goal. When I was doing open houses consistently, if I met 1 new buyer every week, think about that. Whose business would change or whose business would start out like on fire if you were meeting 1 new buyer every single week? Yeah, that's a big deal, right? Open houses, you can do that. So you need to set very purposeful goals. What other goals could you potentially set at an open house?
Add it to your pipeline.
You're adding to your pipeline, yeah. What about meeting one new potential seller in the neighborhood? Right? It's one thing to meet a buyer, it's another thing to meet somebody who's considering the sale of their home, right?
So, like, should you be, that's.
Yep. Yep. Start letting people see you as the economist and agent of choice in the area, right? Awesome. So. One of the things is we're not just there to get appointments. Open houses are a great way to generate leads, right? So something I'll have you consider is when we talk about lead generation, that's not necessarily listing generation. That's not necessarily appointment generation. It's leads, right? People we're building a pipeline. Yes, the right now business is important. And it's really important to build that pipeline of potential business down the road. You do this right over the course of time, all of a sudden you start getting these phone calls, these come list me calls or ready to buy calls, right? Okay. Now, picking the house. This is something I screwed up the first time that I did an open house, and I never let myself screw this up again. Okay. Couple of things can happen, especially as new agents. You're going to potentially get phone calls. Hey Rick, I got this listing. You want to hold it open? Natural inclination is to say, well, heck yes, I do, right? And then you look at it, it's been on the market for 18 months. It's never had a price reduction. You got to turn 37 times to find it. And if you go to hold it open, you got to ask the squatter to step out for a minute while you do so. Right? Who wants to hold that one open? Anybody? No? Okay. So it wasn't that extreme, but the first couple of times I did an open house, I got that phone call. Hey, you want to hold my listing open? I didn't bother to look at it, and they were old days on market, right? The houses were tough to find. Okay. What else might be a consideration? What did we just talk about? Pricing, right? Yep. They haven't done it. If they've been on the market a while and they haven't done any reductions. What about the agent decided to use their cell phone to take some pictures? Right? Probably not a great listing to hold open. If it's buried back in a neighborhood and you're gonna have 112 pointer signs just to find these, right? That's probably not a great open house either, right? Everybody agree? You see where we're going on this? So just want to consider the price bracket. You want to you need to, you want to consider what's around it, what's going to attract people. Here's the other thing to consider. If you live way out in the woods in LaGrange, and you ideally want to not drive 2 hours a day to show a house, consider where the house is, because if I'm holding the house open and those buyers are walking in to see it, guess where they're buying? They're buying in that area. So if it's not an area that is where you've kind of chosen where you want to focus your business. Right now, there's some of us go that what area? Yeah, I'm licensed in the state of Kentucky, so that's cool, right? But at some point, you're going to figure out like, I don't want to drive up to this end or that end or this county or that, right? So be aware when you're choosing your open house, choosing where it is, because that's where you're going to meet buyers. That's where they're going to be shopping. Does that track with everybody? Yeah. All right. Okay. Prepare and practice. Now, before you host your open house, you want to prepare a list of questions that you might get asked and actually practice those conversation starters. Okay. Some questions you might face are going to test your knowledge of the house, the market, the area. They might ask why the house is for sale, when the home was last renovated, if there's any structural issues, how long the house has been on the market. They're gonna ask these kinds of things. Now, let's kind of think through this. What other questions do you think you might get when you're hosting an open house? What are some things if you were a buyer and you walked into an open house, put your real estate agent hat away, put your buyer hat on. What are some things you might ask if you walked into an open house?
One, in the basement, it looked like it was a big water stain,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a number, it was like 15 couples that came through and said the same thing about this watermark, like, was it water damage down here?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yep. And how do you respond to something like that?
well, at the beginning, the first time, I did not know
Yeah.
if it was or not, so
Yep.
then, I pulled up I was hoping to open for someone else.
Yep.
And I think she ended up sending me the
Disclosure.
disclosure.
Yeah.
And that's when I found out, well, the owner said it was never water damage down there. But it looks like it was.
Yep.
So
Maybe it's still a leak or something, we don't know.
yeah, a few of them, they went back and forth with me and was like, I mean, it's a big stain right there. And I'm like, okay, well, the seller disclosure
Mhm.
says it's no water damage.
Yeah.
So they go back and forth
Yep.
with you like, well, that's water damage. I'm like, hey, I can't even.
What I know is what they just.
That's all,
Yep.
yeah, that's.
Yep. Yep, when it comes to things like that. I think we were just talking about this the other day, was it dinner or was it somebody else? That is always my response. If it's my listing or not, doesn't matter, here's what,
Yeah,
this is what we know about it. Now. If you have material knowledge, right? Home inspection got done, radon numbers are off the charts, deal blew up, seller doesn't wanna fix it. They also don't wanna tell people about the radon issue, right? As an agent, you have material knowledge about the house. Guess what you have the responsibility to do? You gotta disclose it. Okay, everybody tracking on that? That's super important. That's a great example.
yeah.
You're gonna get questions about condition. What else? What's one more?
Are there any schools here?
Mhm.
Schools close by?
Yep. Yeah. Yep. 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 Area knowledge. What's that? Yep, safety. Yep. Now, we gotta be careful on safety as well. Okay? You have to be careful on like crime data and all that other stuff because it cannot be assumed that you are steering in any way, shape, or form. Say that again? Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, crime has no zip code. What's a crime like around here? I don't know. There's crime maps out there you can check out. See what's been reported, but. I've been here for 2 hours, I haven't been shot. Haven't heard anything popping off. So, okay, good. Now. Another thing that's kind of helpful is sometimes going back to Dana's idea about a partner. When I knew I was gonna have like a crazy busy open house, like it's in a great area, this is a house that like, it's just gonna be a killer open house, I would ask a lender partner. Because ultimately, I'm trying to be like the maitre d', right? Like I'm running around, I'm the straw that stirs the drink, I'm talking to people, I'm checking in. How are you doing? Questions you have? I never leave flyers just readily available to people. They gotta ask me for the info. Okay. So, and I always try to have a sign-in set, right? So my lender partner would be there. Hey, if you wouldn't mind, we just got this sign in right here. If you go ahead, just get that filled out. I'll be right back. So he's directing that traffic. He's answering basic lending questions. If they're really set up, they're potentially pre-approving people right there at the open. Talk about qualified leads, right? They're not working with an agent. They just got pre-approved 30 seconds ago and they're in your open house. Handcuff them to your wrist. They do not leave without some sort of next step, right? So get a lender partner or even a title rep or just for another agent, like partner up on these things, especially when you know it's gonna be a crazy open house. Like open houses can go in one of two directions if they're crazy busy. Either you generate some awesome leads, right? Or you miss every opportunity because you're trying to like wrangle everything in. So just be prepared to understand what those open houses are gonna be like. Um. The other thing, so, they mentioned in the text here, like asking people to sign in as a safety measure. You can do that. I've always been pretty casual about the sign in. Hey, the seller is trying, would like to keep track of people coming in the house, that sort of thing. Now I did always hang like a sizable, like laminated sign on the front door, come on in, please sign in, trying to set the stage a little bit, just make it, and I always filled in a couple of names, my wife's name, that sort of thing. Prime in the pump a little bit, right? Make it seem like it's a normal thing that everybody does it. Okay. Yeah.
Flyer, what's up?
Mhm.
Flyer, are you saying flyer about you or a flyer about the house?
So
Both.
I always have both. I always have information about myself, my services, what I do, that sort of thing. And you want information about the problem. Few copies of the seller disclosure, just having the MLS sheet, few copies of the MLS sheet. And a few copies of the seller disclosure, to me, suffices. You don't need something crazy pretty and designed or nice. When it comes to your business, what you do, yeah, come up with something. I call it a resume. It's just a nice, piece that I can give to people.
Everything was like back in the day, like still like. Bake cookies and stuff like that, that's still a thing.
It can be. It can be. I think during the summer, having bottled water available for people, they appreciate that.
It just gets really pricey, cause
Yeah.
I was the agent that always had the cookies and the donuts,
Yeah.
I took donut, like, that's me, that's not me. But I was strategic with it, so if I had an open house on Saturday and I did or something like that, then whatever I had was gonna go to my Sunday school class the next day, so. You just wanna make sure you're strategic about it, so that you're not spending more money than what you're making, that, going back to the goal, making sure you have a new buyer for every one of your listings and like that, so.
Yep. No, that's perfect. Okay, so we talked a little bit about some things. If you decide not to use a sign-in sheet at your open house, what are some other ways you think you could capture information? Yeah, command. Yep. That's where eventually we want everybody to end up anyway.
I actually had a question when you said the flexible lesson, I literally just beat them over about not using flexible lesson sharing. Do you have a suggestion for how, as far as the flyer is concerned, or the website?
So as far as the quote unquote the flyer at an open house, like the piece of printed material, I just print out the Louisville MLS full report with contact info.
Cause if it's not there listed.
If it's not, yeah, so just print out the version of the MLS report with your contact info. Like there's a selection of reports you can print. Just make sure whatever one you decide to use just has your contact info on it.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, as far as advertising like online, no, we don't share the Flex MLS thing. Nope. You get a call from Tara, you'll probably get a call from me. I may text you your own link and be like, why don't you go ahead and replace it with this?
I even messaged somebody who was with a different color weight. Like everything.
That might, yeah, now your teeth are in there. So one thing we do have, I don't know if everybody's aware of this, KW gives us something called an Instacart. Okay, that Instacart app, all you do, hey, Kelly, what's that cell number? I'm gonna send you all my contact. And I send the Instacart, here's how Instacart works, when they click on it, and it allows them to save your info, it's gonna ask, do you wanna share your info back? And you just prep on, hey, you get this, make sure you send me your contact info so I can get the seller disclosure too. I can get this or that. That's the other reason that you don't necessarily want to leave stuff available. The people I physically hand the MLS sheet or the seller disclosure to are people I don't think I'm going to have a chance to work. Want to know if you're an unqualified lead at my open house? You walk out with papers. Because ultimately, I want your contact info so I have a reason to follow up with them. Does that make sense? All right. Cool. Go. Pick the time. Now, the time you choose is gonna be super important, okay? When you know your market well and have connected with it, picking the right time to host an open house should be simple. Open houses have been known to work in any market, all dates and times, so knowing your market in order to drive the most traffic through your open house it's huge, right? Picking the time for your open house, it goes hand in hand with picking a theme. If you're having your open house on a Sunday afternoon during football season, know the game scores or have the game on the TV. Here's some other things you can do. So what worked for me really well for me is when I had a super hot listing that I knew was gonna be just a banger of an open house, right? I would do 1 hour. Reason being, everybody who wanted to get to that open house had to be there at the same time. If you're a buyer walking through a house that you know you're interested in, there's 35 other people there. What's your instinct tell you to do? Write that offer, baby, right? Like, let's get something on paper. Let's make sure it's strong because I see there's 35 other people. And people, it's funny. They'll talk to each other all nice. And I know in the back of their head, they're going, this is my house. This fool is not getting that. Not happening. So, you want to think about some things. Thursday night happy hours. High traffic, like literal, like driving traffic areas. Midweek open houses do really well. A lot of times, especially those, somebody's got family events, they got soccer games going on in the week, they got all this craziness happening on the weekend. They could maybe, the couple could meet up at 4 o'clock before they pick up the kids and run through an open house room if they're seriously looking. Right? Sunday afternoon, right? Some of the best open houses I've had, most successful, there weren't a ton of people, but I got great results, was maybe on Mother's Day, right? People are going out to brunch and stuff, and then if they're walking through, think of it this way: if somebody's taking the time on any kind of holiday or major event, Super Bowl Sunday, or the U of L UK games going on, whatever's happening, if they're taking time to go and walk through an open house, what is the likelihood that's a very serious buyer? Is that tracking? Right? So you might have just 1 or 2 people come through. Man, oh man, that might be like a paycheck real soon. Is that making sense?
What are your thoughts for Derby?
First of all, it's a bunch of horses making a big left.
Okay.
You see a lot of say people or just people about
It does happen, like if they're out showing other properties, it's easy to fit into their schedule of showings. Which I love that, because then I'm meeting other agents, number one. Now I know who to follow up, right?
So I was thinking you got crowded.
Mhm.
You got both you described and multiple people are wanting to make offers. How you done with that? Like multiple people are.
If multiple people make offers, you call me and Rob.
Yeah, literally, just start referring it off. So, true story, I had a listing, this was last year. And this house was a train wreck. Like, this place was awful. I knew in my heart of hearts, this was an investor property. It's what was gonna happen. We priced it as an investor property. We were not gonna do, and I didn't bother to delay showings or anything like that. 1 hour being live on the market, there were 21 showings scheduled. I said, you know what? We're not doing that. I went that evening and held it open from 4 to 6. I presented 37 offers to the seller. Every single one of them were investor offers. Nearly every single one of them were cash. The offer they accepted, an investor called me about 8:30, 9 o'clock that night and said, hey, I want to buy this house. Not working with anybody. What do I need to do? And I said, well, can you come in at 160? How about 162? Okay, we could do that. Wrote it up. 162. The house was listed at $115,000. Guess how happy the seller was? Ecstatic. The buyer gave them 30 days after closing to get their move done, gave them everything they needed, and paid them $162,000. So a good open house will yield really good results, right? Now that's a rarity because it was, I mean, it to me, the house was worth. I never underprice homes. Like I never go into it like grossly underpricing homes. That's not a service to your sellers. I want everybody to hear me on that. That is absolutely not a service to your sellers. What I didn't take into account is what happens when you put 30 investors in the same house walking around. It's like a gauntlet. It is unbelievable. It was amazing. All right. Now, so going back to picking the time, figure out there's the 1 hour play, right, which works really well. Then on the other side of the coin, a lot of times I'll do a 2 to 5. 2 to 4 is pretty common, yeah. Everybody agrees Sundays 2 to 4. It's kind of what you expect to see in an open house. Go 2 to 5. Now you got that extra hour where you're going to get a lot of some additional traffic, right? What's 1 more hour on a Sunday if you're already there? So go 2 to 5 or 1 to 4, make it a 3-hour stretch. Okay. Now you got that extra time for people to show up. And it's always the ones, it's like trying to close a store, right? It's always the ones that put their foot in the door as you're closing it. Those are the ones that are going to buy something. Right? Okay. So we talked about that, talked about non-traditional times. What else do we have on the time piece? Questions on the time piece? Anything here?
You didn't finish your thought on Derby, if you got shots.
Derby. Derby is one of those things that I've never done anything on Derby. I think people almost feel obligated to do nothing but Derby on Derby. Like it's just a thing where people just, even if they're not like myself, don't go anywhere or do anything. Right? But I feel obligated to have to race on TV. Right? So I don't, that's a tough one. Again, you had a buyer walk through on Derby Day, chances are they're pretty motivated, or they started drinking yesterday. So I can go either way.
I feel like with Derby, it's more so you can advertise yourself.
Yeah, you're the one out there working
Yeah, you're
on
going
Derby.
out there.
Like that's,
Footwork.
if there's anybody considering selling, they're either gonna say this agent has no idea what they're out here trying to do, or they're gonna say, look at this hustle, right? Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, does that make sense, Dana?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, now, prepare your stats. So if you've been practicing like connecting with and knowing your market, gathering the specific neighborhood stats to your open house should go pretty quick. All right, pull some basic data, understand what's going on in the neighborhood. So some things you can talk about are local information, maybe that the school district provides, right? Employment information, what major employers are here. Recreation stuff, are you near any of the parks? Are you near, what are you near? Traffic and commute times, no one understands some of that basic information. Okay, just so you can have those now. Now, somebody comes in, you don't need to like vomit this information all over them. Make it a natural conversation. Everybody remember the Ford acronym, right? So we're gonna have really natural, normal conversations and allow them to ask questions. So what are some other things that you guys can think of that people, might bring up when they come into open houses? Or some things they want to know about maybe the neighborhood or anything like that. What kind of like contextual information do you think?
Well, ask how old is it?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Some of the basics about the house. Yep. What about the neighborhood or the area? What are some other things? And if you were moving to a brand new place you've never built to, what are some things you're gonna want to know?
I have, it's about restaurants. She was from out of town, so.
Yep.
She's like, what kind of restaurants or stores is there?
Yep, shopping, restaurants, yep, it's a big one. What else?
Have children, they might want to know, children.
Yeah, what's the family makeup of the neighborhood typically, right? Now, again, tread those waters lightly, okay, you gotta be careful, you can get into fair housing issues really quickly if somebody interprets what you say. It, you know, from the wrong perspective. But yes, chances are they're gonna ask about that. Yep.
Or insurance lower, or the warehouse.
Yeah. Yep, they're gonna wanna know about projects, stuff going on in the area, yeah. Development, projects, retail locations popping up, warehouses, data centers are gonna start becoming a big thing. A big thing. Yep. 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 They're gonna be a big topic of discussion. What else? Anything else you guys can think of? Brand new to the neighborhood, walk into an open house, what do you want?
Age. Right. I was young, like, they're both doubles like that.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, definitely gonna, a lot of people are gonna ask about that, but again, you wanna be careful,
Yeah.
right? You gotta be careful there. Tread those waters lightly. Okay, awesome. All right, being safe. This is a massive thing. I'm sure we've all seen headlines, right? Bad stuff happening, okay? So this is a big deal here. I'm a big one for, I'm constantly talking to my daughter, my wife about situational awareness, just staying aware of what's going on all the time. On the swivel drives me crazy when we go out to eat because I'm talking and I'm constantly looking around. Like it just drives me crazy. It's kind of a prior military thing. It's just, I do. Right? So, a couple of things to consider. You can see the list up here. Use the buddy system. And even if that person's not coming with you, stay in contact with them. Hey, I'm getting here to my open house. I'll call you when I'm leaving. Right? Get to the open house early. This is important not only for safety, but for professionalism. You don't want to be that agent with like 7 binders under your arm and like 12 balloons, and you're trying to open the door with your toes while there's a line of people getting in the house, right? It's also a big safety thing. Get there early, scope the place out, right? You want to check all the entrances and exits, okay? Check windows, all that good stuff. Make sure your cell phone's fully charged. Turn on all the lights. This is a whole check your local COVID guidelines, okay? Follow the market center guidelines and checklist for open house. So just, again, it's situational awareness. Walk the house. When you're done, lock things up, go check windows, right? It's not impossible that people walk the open house and they go and unlock the window to come back later. Okay, so go check the windows. These, you know, those, if you're in a 2-story, check those first 4. So safety is a big deal. What are some other things you might consider when it comes to safety? Tasers and mace, right? Yep. Make sure you're protected. Carry responsibly. Okay.
So, yeah, still period.
Yep. Follow the letter of the law, you're in good shape. Yep, what else we got? What else might you consider with safety?
Don't go at night, like, don't set your
Yeah.
hours.
Always let somebody know where you're gonna be.
Yep. How about we got a nice looking finished basement and it's not a walkout, somebody wants you to take a look at something. Who goes down those stairs first?
Then
Yeah,
I do.
every time.
I saw like a true crime episode once. Where the devastating and they like that's the word.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's your buddy system, right? I call you and ask for the environmental disclosure, right? Something we never would use here, right? Something like that. That's a problem. Absolutely a great thing, again. Situational awareness, keep your head on a swivel. Keep people in front of you, entrances to your. Don't park in the driveway, yep. If possible, I mean, in some cases, you don't have some choice, but yeah. Yep, 100%. Alright, ahas, talked about a lot, we got. What have we talked about up to this point, maybe you hadn't considered before?
Think about not the efficiency and practice.
Yeah. Yep. Otherwise, I mean, people are gonna walk through, they're gonna pick up a paper, they're gonna walk through this. They're gonna step out the back door, they're gonna come around the house, they're gonna get in their car, they're gonna leave, you're never gonna talk. It's a wasted effort. Now, we'll still get people that do that with or without paper. And that's okay. What else we got?
Like having the goals for the open house.
Yeah,
Like, the goal is to get a flyer, the goal
Yep.
is to get leads. And Tara had posted, like, the actual open house, you know, with my question about the actual open house is not the highlight.
No.
but what you do leading up to the open.
yep, everything before and everything after this. The open house is just a necessary piece of the puzzle. Right? You've committed to being there, so you're gonna be there. It's everything that leads up to the open house. And everything that you do after the open house that makes all the difference in the world in the success of your open houses. I've seen two types of failures that cause people to say open houses don't work. Number one, they put it in the MLS and the next thing they do is unlock the door and hold it open on Sunday. That will never work. Ever. No effort during the week, no plan, no true like marketing strategy around your open houses. That will do nothing for you. The other thing that I've seen happen is people host these open houses. That's a banger of an open house. They got a bunch of people coming through. They get some names on a piece of paper. The piece of paper floats into the trunk of their car. They never do a thing with it. Never goes into command. They never follow up with those people. Nothing happens. It's a giant waste of time. Take out a $10 bill and set it on fire. Right? Doesn't make any sense to me. Take the time. In fact, I would tell you that when you wrap up the open house, your day's not done until anybody that truly talked to is in command on an open house follow-up plan. Okay? All right. Good stuff. Okay, prepare, prospect, pursue. So, go. The difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus. And this guy, Gary Keller, knows a thing or two about time and focus and building really big stuff. Probably somebody we ought to pay attention to. We all agree, say yes. Okay. There we go. All right, prepare, prospect, pursue. So this is a model. Most of the work of the open house is done. We were just talking about this before the day of the open house. You got to get your mindset right, and you got to practice your conversations, right? That's your preparation work. So here's what your week looks like if you're going to run this open house play. Everybody knows Keller Williams. We love models and systems, right? So Mondays, we're going to take that day to figure out what is our open house. I don't have any listings. Awesome. Is somebody selling their own home? A for sale by owner open house is a massive opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. Huge. I built a nice little document that allows you to do it without crossing any lines. And it works phenomenally well because you're doing two things. One, you're holding an open house generating leads. Two, you're building a relationship with a for sale by owner, which by the way, only 5% of the people who sold a home last year sold it by themselves and they had support from the agent. I'm getting a look. I'm waiting for the question.
Open or an open house.
Mhm.
Or food.
Yep.
That
You're not listing it, you're not doing any, you do your marketing stuff. Right, it's no different than holding an open house for any other agent or broker, you have their permission to do so. You have their permission to do so. Aha. Kind of an opportunity, right? Yeah. Right? And here's what's crazy, I've done a few of those physical open houses. Many times you'll do the open house and my agreement with them is like, if anybody's genuinely interested in this house, I'm gonna turn them over to you. I'm just gonna give you their, ask if it's okay, I'm gonna let them know. If they're not, the win for me. What's this? Win for me, Mr. Bisbell, is that I get to meet potential buyers that I have possibly get to work. Here's what happens. Wow, if they want to write off, just write an offer form, I'll pay your commission. Or open house gets done, they see what you did, brought a bunch of people, and they're like, you know what? Why don't you just handle this thing for me? I'm sick of doing this. Like that happens. Right? So select your open house. Again, be selective. We don't want something that's been on the market for 6.5 months. We don't want something that's way overpriced. We don't want something that takes 112 pointer signs to find it. Right? Open houses in the middle of nowhere, out in LaGrange or where, deeper into Shelby and Spencer County, something like that, where you gotta drive 7 miles out to find the place, it's not gonna do it. Right? Be decisive where you host your opens. Then Tuesday, you're gonna post something online, you're gonna walk the neighborhood, and you're gonna invite neighbors to the show. You might even do like a quick little, Dana was just talking about social media. How big is video when it comes to social media? It's massive, right? And guess what? Polished, nicely edited, all that garbage does not do nearly as well as holding your phone up and saying, hey, I'm out here in Windy Acres, I'm gonna be hosting this open house. Check out this neighborhood, flip the camera around. The house of Holden Opens right here behind me. Can't wait to see you guys. We'll be here Sunday 2 to 5. Right? Now that's you waving your real estate flag, reminding people that you're in real estate without saying you're ready to buy, you're ready to sell, you want to buy, you want to sell. You're just showing them what you're doing. Gary Vee talks about it all the time. Document. All you gotta do is document what you're doing. That's content creation. It's massive. Wednesday, you're gonna post online again. Right? So you're posting out, and one good thing you can do, go and join in Facebook, go join a bunch of those buy, sell, trade groups, stuff like that. Get permission from the admins. Hey, is it okay if I post my open house in here? By the way, I actually got to a point, I purchased 2 of those groups. I own the eyeballs of 30,000 people in each of those groups. I get to decide what goes in. One of them's a Louisville Houses and Homes, one of them's a buy, sell, trade. So, leverage some of that, right? Thursday, you're going to post online yet again, and you're going to invite your database. Where should your database exist? KW Command, right? And within Command, you can send these really good looking blast emails, right? Everybody's aware of this, yes? Send these great looking campaigns. Friday, you're going to post again online. You're going to prepare your market stats. You're going to get some flyers printed. You're going to go out door knock. Cool? Is this making sense to everybody? Seem like a pretty simple process you could probably put on repeat. Do this every week, every other week, whatever it is you want to do. When I first got started, every Saturday and Sunday I was in an open house. That lasted for about a month because I started meeting people and I was getting too busy. So then it was every Sunday and every other Saturday. Then it whittled down to every Sunday, and it became every other Sunday. I got licensed in March 2012. July I had 4 closings, bang, 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 and it just kept going. Okay? Making sense? Open houses are a big deal. My first listings, my first buyers, everything came from doing open houses. And I wasn't even following a system. It's been amazing. System. Would have been super awesome. Right? Don't do as I did. Do as I say. Right? Okay. Alright, so here's what, remember, you know, you wanna be prepared, so we gotta think about what our clients, potential clients gonna wanna know. They're gonna want community and neighborhood information. They're gonna want relocation information. Does everybody know simple stuff like, how does our cost of living here in Louisville compare with most of the rest of the country? Runs about 20% less. Right? Everybody know the mirror ball was created here? The disco ball?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a fun little fact, look that up.
Ball City,
Yeah,
my friend lives.
Yeah.
Since when is it called Beer Ball City? I was like, I've never.
yeah, I had to do a little research, it's a fun fact, right? Yeah. My hive of useless information, you're welcome. Alright, sometimes you're gonna wanna know some specifics, you know, first time buyers walk through a lot of places. So understand what, you know, the lending world looks like. And if anybody was here for the team meeting where I talked through the home buyers and sellers, remember, the median age of the first time buyer last year was what? Anybody remember? 40 years old, median age of the first time buyer. It's a different conversation than the 25. Okay. Mortgage information, that's gonna be important. That's where having your lender there is super helpful. Nobody expects you to be a lending expert. And everyone expects you to at least have a general understanding. What are interest rates doing? What people are always gonna ask you every time, right? My answer, I have an idea. They're all over the place. Generally speaking, we're hovering between I've seen contracts written at 5.75, I've seen contracts up to 6.65. So there's somewhere in there. By the way, that's kind of the normal market. We just got a little spoiled, would you agree? Yeah, I think. Right? Have some of that basic information available. Also, if you're hosting an open house where some specific like specialty lending might apply, maybe you are hosting an open house out in one of the outlying counties that apply that's available for USD lending, USDA or USDA lending, 100% finance. Cool. Maybe you're hosting an open house that has an assumable loan of some kind. Okay. So understand, like, there might be some specialty stuff. Maybe you're hosting an open house that needs a little love, right? Everybody aware that there's lending products out there that'll pay for both renovation and the purchase? What if you had some information about that? You knew going into it and needed a kitchen facelift, and you had a quote, based on putting 30 grand into the kitchen and getting the purchase. Here's what your mortgage would actually look like. By the way, it's all paid. Does that make you look like a stronger expert? Yes or no? Right. Okay, now we're going to prospect. This is where you're going to start building trust and rapport with the neighborhood, with everyone around there. One lead generation strategy that becomes popular with a lot of people, they want to try it, is something called geographic farming. Right out of the gate, people assume geographic farming is just sending postcards. It's absolutely not. That is one small piece of it. Open houses and hosting every open house in that subdivision is part of the geographic farming process, right? So you want to start building trust and rapport. You want to start becoming like the mayor of that little neighborhood. Okay. You want to make sure you're providing value to folks. That's where understanding what's gone on in that particular neighborhood from a market perspective is going to be important. Maybe having a little heads up as to future, we brought up the warehouses, we brought up all kinds of stuff, right? Knowing what's kind of happening is going to be important. And when we prospect, please, oh please make sure you're capturing the information and qualifying leads. You're not in the data collection business, meaning somebody who trips and falls and happens to hand you a name, address, phone number, that's not necessarily a lead. That's a suspect at best. You might be able to move them to a prospect. But capture that information and start qualifying. Okay? Questions on this at all? Is this ringing true? Is this tracking with everybody? Yeah? All right. So now we're actually in the open house. This is how we build trust and build rapport. You want to make sure you greet everyone that comes in the door. Engage them in conversation and be positive. You want to ask a few questions, right? Hey, how'd you happen to come by here today? Did you see it online or did your agent send you over? You'll never hear me say, hey, are you working with an agent? You are? Alright. Hey, are you working with an agent? Right? No? Okay, I'm gonna follow you around the internet. Is that cool? Right? We don't do that. Hey, how'd you happen to find us? Did you see it online? Your agent sent it. Our agent sent you. Oh, cool. Who you work with? Tim. Tim. Okay, so got it. Right? You want to be positive all the time, right? Appreciate you coming out. I used to use these big, like 10-foot feather flags that are obnoxious. I put them out at my open house, it's like 10-foot tall flags, open house on them. I was setting up one in the Islands, and I always set my signs and stuff up around like 10, 11 o'clock, you know, before the open house. And I put that feather flag up, somebody was walking their dog down, that's a bit much. Thank you. That is 100% what I'm going for. I appreciate that. This thing was expensive. Yeah. I've seen you can get customizable ones. I could get myself just going, hey, just doing this the whole time at an open house. How fantastic would that be?
That's a whole lot better than trying to maneuver with 6 balloons in your car and you're trying to look at.
Oh, I still do balloons. I will put as many pointer signs out. If I've got one street to go down, there's gonna be 12 pointer signs down that street and balloons on every single one of them. Make your open houses look like a party, man. That's
Did you say, you said it in federal land?
yeah, I just created just a laminated sheet that I just kind of stick to the front of the door. It just says open house, welcome, please come in. Because people, it's funny, like especially in the summer, you want to keep the door closed and all that. And people will come up and go, open house. So I hang something on the door, open house, welcome, please come in. Please sign in at the table at the front. So I always brought just a little folding table and I set it right in the middle of the way. Right? I had my sign-in book right there. I did have a couple of business cards. None of the other stuff. I might put like my resume, I may put a couple of copies of stuff about me right there, but nothing about the product. Okay.
QR code on the door.
Thought about it, never did. I just wanted people coming in. Okay. All right. So now we got to provide value. Know your team stats. This could be your market center, right? Know what our stats look like. Know the market itself, right? That's that. Some of that first content we went through. Understand personality types. Is everyone familiar with something called the DISC assessment, DISC? Anybody heard this term? Or, I mean, there's 1,001 personality assessments out there. DISC is a really common one. If you've got somebody like me coming through the door, I'm practically kicking the door open, I'm flipping your table out of the way. I'm walking, I'm not talking to you, I'm just going. Right? There's a certain way you're going to talk to somebody like me versus someone who kind of clicks their head around the door. Is it okay if I come in? Right? Those conversations look very different. That's knowing and understanding personality styles. Okay. Have something to offer visitors. Yeah, I never give property information. It's printed right out of the gate. Now, I may tell them, hey, thanks so much for coming in. House is opened up. I'm glad to give you a tour. Would you prefer I walk you through, or do you want to see it on? Well, we'll just take a look. Great. I'll check in with you, see how you're doing. I've got some information on the house. I'll bring it to you. Okay. Making sense so far? Clear as mud? All right. Now we got to capture information. So sign-in sheet's really good. Command is really good. KW app. All these things are really good ways to capture information. Ultimately, it comes down to asking questions. Use that for. Use that first question. Hey, how'd you find us today? Did you see it online or did your agent say? Right? Get to know them a little bit. Looking in this area or for this house? Well, we like this house. We're not really, so I know maybe this isn't the right area. Okay? Use open-ended questions, right? Yes, no questions, cut off the conversation. Okay? And also, like Chris Voss, anybody familiar with Chris Voss? Used to run that head of FBI negotiations, hostage negotiations, wrote a fantastic book, amazing book called Never Split the Difference. That book I read 4 to 6 times a year. It's incredible. One of the strategies he uses is something called mirror. Well, we didn't really like the basement space. Oh, you didn't like the basement space? And just shut up and they'll tell you. Well, we're not sure we're ready to go yet. Oh, you're not ready to go yet? Yeah, we gotta do X, Y, and Z. Oh, okay. Now I'm pulling more out of them without being obnoxious, right? By the way, it's super weird when you first start doing it, you feel like a fool. Until you realize that they haven't caught on to which it works really well. It's fantastic with my daughter. Yeah. Oh, I will absolutely use it on everybody in this room. 100% of the time, at some point, we will have that conversation. All right. So remember that you are there to get leads and appointments. We're not there to sell the house. It's not what you're there to do. Okay. Now we got to pursue them. We got to follow up and convert these leads after open houses. Please, please, please update your database and get those folks into command, into KW command. Get one of those open house smart plans going. Does everybody know? Let me just ask this. And I know a couple of like you haven't gotten into command yet, but for those of us using command, does everybody know how to find the full library of smart plans that have already been built that you can just copy and start using? So, okay, good. Kelly, you good? Okay. Yeah, everybody good? Use those. They're there. Creative avoidance is a real thing, and if you're going to spend the next month and a half creating the perfect open house smart plan, please don't. Just use what's there. Okay. Make sure you're following up with all your attendees. Don't ignore the tasks that pop up out of those smart plans. Okay. If it says phone call, make the phone call. If it says text, shoot the text. Amanda's got beautiful on your mobile app now. Anybody realize this? It's amazing. Send a text right out of it. It comes back to the contact record, says, hey, do you want to add a text? This is what I did, right? Call, same thing. Okay. Make sure you evaluate the goals that you set, right? Did you hit them? Did you miss them? What changes are you going to make next time, right? Always do it. We always call it an after action review. Right? Take yourself through an after action review. Here's what I did. Here's the result that I got. Is that red light, green light? Did it work? Go, no go? Did not work. Okay, what do I need to do differently or stop doing? Okay. Dana and I are always happy to sit down with you and look at that with you. Here's Dana, here's everything I did. Here's the results I got. What did I miss? We might see a blind spot. Okay. Dana, you were going to say something.
Where you said, and this is a little bit off subject, the KW app, your cell phone, do the people you're calling see your cell phone number or your phone number from your?
It'll ask you if you want. It should be the call. As far as I know, it's a call from your cell. Okay. Because it just opens the phone function within your cell. Oh. Yeah.
I'm just curious. Who said?
Yes, I do. Yeah. That is life of a prospector, my friend. I am constantly burning caller IDs. Now, my cell phone never changes, which, by the way, is in case you need my real number. That's my real cell phone. In case anybody needs it. You gotta stop calling me out, man. All right. Questions on any of this? What do we got? No? All right. Okay. So, like a couple of the other instructors, I personally am working on my Keller Williams University certification. If you wouldn't mind, take a second. I'll review in there. The event type is in person, right? The instructor, you're not gonna see my name in the drop down yet, I'm not super cool yet, so you scroll all the way to the bottom. And it says like name not in there or something to that effect, it's Rob St. John. Ohio Valley Region. And the course name is Ignite Session 7, Capture Leads with Open Houses.
I can just go with that, my phone's a little.
Yep, yeah, kwueval.com is the website, yep. All right, so. KW Cares, please keep KW Cares in mind, buddy. This organization is doing amazing things. So just keep them involved. Next Gen, this is a mission to empower and equip the next generation of leaders and entrepreneurs. So this is a big deal. This is something I absolutely love this mission, pouring into folks who are coming into leadership. I think we could all agree that where the direction of the country and otherwise is going, the next set of leaders is going to be really important. Yeah, say yes. All right, now activity time. So it happens to be Monday, right? And what was our activity for Monday on the open house list of things to do? Gotta choose one, right? So, I want everybody to spend a little time and start thinking through where they're gonna be hosting an open house. Okay? Now, we talked about a lot of stuff. What are we getting from this? What are some of the biggest things that you plan to start doing, stop doing, or do more of as it pertains to open houses? Yeah,
Sign-in sheet, probably,
sign in sheet.
and have to look at, the table.
Yep,
I'm like,
put that table right in their way. Don't let them, like, make it inconvenient to go around it. Telling you. Yep,
So that is something as far as like how to get open houses. You said.
yeah, so
Here,
if you find it open, someplace you wanna hold it open, right? Start with our market center, look for active listings, reach out to the listing agent. Hey, I see you got this listing on Maple Street, love to hold an open house there. Just thinking about Sundays through fours, would that be open? Same thing with for sale by owners, really simple. It's a little bit of a tougher conversation initially, because they think you're coming at it with an angle. Ultimately, you wanna provide a service, hey. We're gonna ask you to list it, will you, be all right, but I will open for you this week. Make sure anybody who's interested in your property, I'll get you guys connected. Or would you do that? That's if I can meet buyers that might not be interested in your home, I would help.
We file alternative information about other properties.
I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea, because one of the things, if you get a really, really good lead at an open house, it's possible they might bring up some other properties they're interested in, just ask. Want to go see those when I get off this open house? Why, yes, I do, cool. Show you this real quick, buyer agency agreement, make it 3 days long. We'll go look at some houses and then we'll figure out if it makes sense to continue working, if it's reasonable. Yeah, okay, cool. What else we got? Hold on to the house info, that's right.
so, all right, what does it look like when you're? So you have, either way, you have the listing for somebody else that,
Mhm.
like somebody that's rent the house. So what if like, obviously you're not gonna go in.
You wanna get there early, you wanna do the best you can. Open up blinds, get lights on, do the best you can for that.
So if like, you're not cleaning your house up, by the way.
Well, that's feedback you give to the listing, right? Hey, to host this open house, man, it's a train wreck. This might be why it's been on the market the last 18 months. So don't ever call me again to host your open house. What else?
I like what you said about having built an open house in the area.
Mhm.
That way you're really like on the path. Here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good way to kind of get your foot, if there is a neighborhood. Open houses are a really great way to get into that, because you're gonna meet the neighbors typically. You're gonna start being the presence, face, it's no. Well, she's back doing another open house this weekend, right? That's a good thing. What else we got?
First out, that's the. As far as, like, I didn't check.
Yeah.
I would rather. Out there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
you
know
can-
how far, and like, we had this discussion the other day, like, I have a lot of friends in breaker.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know that's a licensing. I don't want to pay another, whatever.
So we have a data share with that, where we can see that data.
Okay.
The difference is gonna be access to things like lockboxes, and things like that, it's a bit of a pain.
It's like, I don't know, yeah, like Bowling Green, so it's like, I don't know how far south.
Man, I would, Bowling Green, I prefer that, not as quick as any human being could.
Well, I will, but it's
Yeah.
like, I just didn't know how far I know left to go.
MLS, I don't think will cover the bowling.
Like, let the check, we'll go all the way to E-town.
Yeah. Yep. What else?
Do it matter, like a listed agent, do it matter who they work for?
So you wanna try and pull our listings open first, but no, you get the broker, now here's the difference, the listing agent's not necessarily the broker, so you gotta have broker permission. To host that open house. Okay,
So contact the broker or not, tell this.
contact the listing agent, hey, is it cool, is this possible, do you mind?
Yeah.
And then make sure it's a good looking hat, man. Yeah,
As far as finding out, the agents, it's more considered, they got posted, I'm sure. People around us.
yeah, I would just, yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things you could do that I think everybody should do, set yourself up on a safe search in the MLS for all of our listings. So as soon as it goes live, you see it come through, you're like, oh, I wanna hold that one open, right? Yeah. Or if it goes coming soon or whatever, now you're seeing it. So you can say, hey, when it's live, ready for showings, and I host all that. All right.
Just take in mind, and I'll reach out to the agent, say we have to reach out to the broker.
If they say yes, it's okay, just ask them, hey, would you mind sending, just copy me on the email to your broker. That's how I handle it. I would assume that's real estate in general. Yeah, broker, the broker owns the listings. Agents just act on behalf of the broker. So, yeah. Yep. Yep. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Alright, so, just a quick recap. Some open house best practices, right? Setting goals is a big one. It's one of the biggest ones. Pick out the house, parent practice, take the time. Make sure you got good stats and please be safe doing these things. Benefits of open house, obviously, they're inexpensive. It's a great prospecting tool. You get a high return on your investment. You get very high quality leads because you get the opportunity to qualify them more deeply. You're sitting there having a conversation. Okay. And then please remember the prepare, prospect, pursue model. Get ready. Do your prospecting before and after and during. And then pursue those leads. Remember, we got the 4 laws of lead generation. Everybody remember those? Number 1, you build what? What do we build? It's first law. Build a pipeline, a database, right? Second, what do we gotta do with that database? We gotta feed it every day. Right? Third, we gotta do what? Communicate systematically, right? And then last law of lead generation is you service all the leads that come from it. Open houses are a fantastic way to feed that database. Okay. All right, so anybody, has your thinking changed around open houses at all? Have I managed to open some doors for you? Okay. Yeah, just some things to think about. Any tools, models, systems, anybody planning to do something different? Their open houses? Anybody planning to actually start doing open houses? Start there, okay? Okay, and how will the tools, this is something to consider, open houses or anything. Tools you decide to use, how will those tools help to make you accountable to the processes you have in place? Think of command, think of any tools that you're using. Cookbook. If you have a front back cover of a cookbook and there's nothing inside of it, it's kind of worthless, right? Things like smart plans and tracking and that's your recipes. You gotta have both to make it effective, right?
Question, so if, as I reach out to somebody, another realtor, to ask about the house with them.
Mhm.
I'm sure it's come up with that, they're there. Right, did you, did that ever happen?
I've never had that happen. You mean, now, when you say
They're
there,
at the open
the
house.
seller or the agent?
Just to say the person, the selling agent,
The listing agent decides they're gonna hang out.
they're gonna hang out.
They're full because what they're trying to do is leverage that, right?
Yeah.
So why? Typically, they won't, because like when I have a listing and somebody wants to hold it open, that means I don't have to be there holding it open. So that's from a listing agent
Right,
perspective.
if somebody comes in and they wanna make an offer on a house, you usually send it to that. So.
No, Rick, no.
It's that house.
If it's a listing agent, you can secure that buyer and write the offer.
Okay, alright,
Now, if it's a for sale by owner, that's part of my value to a for sale by owner, is like if somebody wants to write an offer on your house, I'll gladly connect it to you, so you can make that happen. But if it's a listed property, my friend, you are there to create buyer opportunities. Yeah.
And you know, my thought, because when I raised got the Fisher Homes, and they were like, yeah, we don't want you to do open houses by yourself, we'll be there too. And I was like, no, I'm good. I don't wanna do an open house if the listed agent is going to be there.
Yep, and that's an uncomfortable experience for people attending the open house.
yeah.
Yep. What else we got? Alright, please remember, let's hit that daily success system. Get your 10 conversations a day. Add 10 people to your database, write 10 handwritten notes. Okay, now remember, pro tip on this. You might have a conversation, a contact added, and a note from one person. If you talk to them on the phone, great, we had the conversation, you added them to your database. Now you send them a handwritten note. It's great catching up with you, looking forward to the next one. Okay, it doesn't have to be all separate. Remember your 10-5-1 social media engagement, and then enrichments to your database, adding appointments, adding agreements, creating closings. These are all things that we're here to do. All right, TCPA do not call list in mind. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. I'm gonna do something super cool and uncomfortable. Everybody is gonna say this with me. Ready? 3, 2, 1. I engage every conversation in spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. Well done. All right. So normally we would go into a little bit of role play at this point. It's 12 o'clock. So I'm gonna give you guys some time back, please. Everybody has their accountability partners, yeah? Okay, connect with your accountability partners. Role play through some of these conversations, maybe role play an open house invite. Your circle prospecting, you're reaching out, you're door knocking, whatever it is. You're talking to a homeowner that lives within the area of an open house. Role play that conversation. Okay? And if you need help, get it. Next session already happened. It is like a time traveler. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got. Thank you very much.
Right.